Hi, I'm your host, Attila, and our show, Next Big Thing, is all about, here at Think Tech, giving people with great ideas a place to share them with the world. And we have two very special guests with us today. The first one is we're going to talk about Mentors Guild. And then later we're going to talk a little bit about some other new ideas, some Oahu-based apps. And, Martin Dunsmuir is going to be later in our show. And Iqbal Ashraf is going to join us first. So thank you for joining us at the show. This is very exciting. So, the first thing, of course, is Mentors Guild. And, here at Think Tech, we want to give you your opportunity to change the world, right? And we're going to broadcast it to the world. So tell us how Mentors Guild is changing the world.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. About more than a year back, I was working for a local company here in Hawaii Kai, running an accounting firm. And I was hired as an operations manager there, and then they wanted me to run the company. And this was at the height of recession, and I was trying to drive sales. The problem was my background was in operations, and I just did not know where to start. So it did not work out eventually, and the company was sold to other owners. And I left that to figure out, how could I have solved that problem? And upon reflection, I realized that, I needed like an expert intervention, somebody who knew how to do B2B sales. And if I could spend some time with that person, and I did not know where to find that person. If that same problem happened now, Mentors Guild would be a place where I'll go to find that sales expert in B2B space.
Oh, so it was like an idea that you came up with all by yourself because you had the same need, right?
Yeah, so it was a pain that I kind of felt acutely, and that is where it started. And then, with time, it has kind of evolved to incorporate other aspects as well.
And so we have the website up, and it is mentorsguild.com. And it actually looks very well coded. Is this something that you guys got together as a group to create it?
Yeah, so there are 3 other people apart from me, and then we have 2 advisors. So we have a technology architect who did most of the coding.
And how many? It seems you actually have some very high-powered mentors on this website here. Everyone from Fortune 500 mentors to even just some local people. You have a lot of mentors on here. Can anyone be a mentor?
So what we do is, we try to look at so we have coaches and we have consultants on the website, and they are the mentors. And we try to vet them based on their business experience, their consulting experience, and their kind of evidence of thought leadership, which basically means publications and stuff like that. And typically, there are people who have at least 20 years of experience in a particular domain who we list as mentors. So anybody is allowed to apply, and there are people who we find by looking at their publications and ask them to join as mentors.
And so once they become how many mentors do you have on there now, if you don't mind me asking?
So we are running about almost 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
What industries are they?
So 3 broad categories. There are executive coaches, there are small business coaches, and then there are domain experts who are like management consultants.
So a business executive consultant, how would that work?
There can be many different scenarios, and I'll give you an example. How it really works right now.
Yeah, tell me a story. We love stories.
Sure. So say a company in Hawaii hires a person as a CEO from the mainland. And that person comes here, is very talented, but just does not get the culture and the way things work here. So that's
heaven forbid.
and that I was just talking to an executive recruiter yesterday, and that's a common problem. And the culture fit is a big problem, and then suddenly you have that position open again in the next few months, not because the person did not have the expertise, but because the cultural fit did not happen. So in that situation, an executive coach can be very helpful in in helping the company and this new hire assimilate, and the person kind of get the culture, slowly, get effective in that new environment. So that would be a place where somebody from Mentor School would be hired to intervene in that situation. So that is one example. The other example would be you want to do a new product launch, and you are a company which does everything, sales to all other functions, but new product launch in a new market. How do you go about it? So hiring an expert who has just consulted in that space over and over again, that might be a really good ROI kind of investment.
So really, it lets you find that expert on your, obviously, without having to go to a third-party management company. So really, you're kind of like it sounds like a headhunter type service, except for it gives the power to the actual business owner rather than the headhunting company. Cuts out the middleman, right?
Well, in a way, it makes me the middleman too. This is a big industry, right? If you talk about business coaching, which includes executive coaching, it's a $10 billion industry in the US and growing at a rapid rate. If you talk about management consulting, it's a $170+ billion industry and growing fast.
And that's just the US, right?
That's just US.
Across the world. There's other places, there's other countries out there. I mean, imagine that actually speak English. Like Australia and England. Who knew, right?
Sure.
And India, I hear, actually.
Yeah,
you may have some experience with that.
So, you are right. So there's it can be geography agnostic.
Yeah.
So we can have experts from India consulting with a business here. Right now, we are limited to just US. And, we are kind of pre-profitability, trying to get to the product market fit kind of startup. But theoretically, yes, and hopefully, and we want to get there where there are experts from all over the world, and they are very specialized in one area that you can engage depending on what your needs are. So going back to the way it is being done now, that small business or any business actually, which has a need, can either go to a local consultant, or if they can afford it, they go to big firms which charge a lot of money. So what we are saying is, here are people that we have already vetted for you, and they are all really good people, and they have worked in big firms, but now they are on their own, and somebody's in New York, somebody's in Milwaukee, but their expertise is really what you were paying so much more money till yesterday through a big firm, but now they are listed here, and probably for 1/3 that price, providing the same kind of expertise. So that is the value we want to bring to a business owner.
And it's a huge game changer, I think, because think about it. There's all these staffing companies here in Hawaii, and maybe they're going to bring on someone who's a low-level position, and that's great. A few dollars an hour, just above minimum wage. But to have a real expert in a particular field, such as marketing or executive coaching, that's hard.
Yeah. So it's kind of similar, but different in the sense that the mentors on Mentors Guild mostly work in advisory capacity temporarily, and
which is all you need. That's perfect. That's all most businesses need, right? When they're entering a new market, they know how to do their job. Mm-hmm. They just don't understand the market, so that's perfect for that.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned you're a startup, so tell me about your startup experience. How's it been here in Hawaii? And you have 300 mentors now, but if you're a startup, that means you're going to have thousands in a couple of months. How's that going?
So we are adding, one person every day.
Wow. That's huge. Yeah.
Well, actually, in an online marketplace, that's not that fast a growth rate. If you think about Airbnb or Fiverr or Elance, they have thousands of new profiles added every day. But they don't do as much vetting because they allow the clients to give feedback, and they give those stars and ratings later on. In our case, because people are betting their business success on these people to come and intervene, we have to be more careful. So we do a lot of background research on what work they have done, talk to them. So then we invite them to join. So that is kind of a slower. But yeah, that side, the supply side of expertise is not a problem. Our challenge now is to get clients to pay for these services. And it's a big change for them to the way they were doing things yesterday.
And so how is it different? How is this different from something else out there?
So
your idea seems very good, but like you mentioned, there were other companies out there doing this.
yeah, so we do have competitors, and many of them are very successful, which gives us hope, because our main competition are not those online marketplaces. Our main competition is the way businesses are approaching these services right now, the behavior that they have to just call somebody local, or just go to a McKinsey or a Boston Consulting Group and say, we have this need. So that is the behavior they have now, or worse still, they just let those issues fester, and then that eventually leads to problems later on. So changing that behavior, saying that, well, if you have a need which is more specialized, you don't have to limit yourself to the local expertise. We have listed people who specialize in that area, and they might be, living in Boston, but they can, through technology now, through Skype or GoToMeeting, they can advise you. And their expertise is not limited to their geography. It's just that you don't know about them because they are really not marketing to you right now.
Well, I want to hear some more about this, but Iqbal, we've got to go to a break. Can you believe it? we got to go to a break. So those of you watching, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Attila. We're here with Iqbal Ashraf. And of course, our show, Next Big Thing, gives people with great ideas a place to share them with the world. So stay tuned. We're going to have more ideas after this break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
We're back, we're live, and you're watching ThinkTech Friday. I'm your host, Attila, and on Next Big Thing, we give people with great ideas an opportunity to share them with the world. And with a big idea in the studio with us is Iqbal Ashraf, and he's with us, and we're talking about Mentors Guild. It's a website where experts can be listed, and you go through an extensive screening process to get those experts on there. And then if you're a business owner or you're a company that's looking to expand into an area, you need help with a particular topic, a word of advice, or anything to kind of keep your business going, this is a place where you can get trusted experts for this. For whatever you need. So, Iqbal, now you've brought up the website over here on your iPad, and I'm guessing that some people who are watching this video have already brought up the website mentorsguild.com. Why don't you show me some important parts, and maybe you can even show me the vetting process, how you're able to screen those applicants, and you can see how qualified these people are.
Sure. The vetting process is listed when people want to register. We allow them to register either as a client, which are our target clients are business executives because they are the ones making decisions. And then if they want to become a member, which is basically a consultant on Mentors Guild, they have applied to become a member. And then if you click on that, it shows you what criteria we use. So like I was saying,
let's see if we can get that. It's kind of on the camera here. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got some lights in the studio. All right, so maybe we'll put it next to your. Here we go. Maybe we can kind of zoom in a little bit so our viewers can see it a little bit better. So it says who's eligible for a member. It seems like you have different membership levels. I'm guessing people cost in different prices, right?
So we don't charge anything for our membership because that's like a conflict of interest. We just want really good people to join as our consultants, our members. So like I was saying, we look at their level of education and what publications they might have had. So we go to like Wall Street Journal or Harvard Business Review to find these people who are like thought leaders in their field. Then we look at what business experience they have, either as an owner or an executive themselves. And then we look at their consulting experience. And then with all those criteria, our objective is to have seasoned people who have had really good experience, hands-on or advising clients, join us.
So, so now we got the camera kind of lined up over here. Now we can kind of bring up the website. We have it up on the screen here. So this is the Mentors Guild. This is if I wanted to submit myself as a mentor on your website. I would go to where's that here? Be a mentor.
So you click on register, and
Register,
then it will
okay.
take you to this application page, and then this is the criteria, and then people who meet this criteria, they can apply, and that takes them to the application form.
And so then does that come in your email box and then you start Googling them? Is that how it works? Or do you have like a team of PhDs? Or do you just have a bunch of monkeys with typewriters in a room? How's it work? What's your secret sauce?
So we have two people whose job is just to vet these people. So the way they do that is they Google them, like you rightly said. They also look at their LinkedIn profile, and they go to their business website. So most of the consultants have a business website and look at their services, past client recommendations, and things like that.
LinkedIn profile?
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure they have 500 plus connections, otherwise.
We do look at that. So if some people have like 16 people in their network, most probably will just shy away from that. So there's a chance they are genuine, but we don't want to take that risk, especially at this stage of being a startup.
And so what companies have used your consultants, and how do you guys get paid, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. So like I said, we don't charge anything for membership because that we see as a conflict of interest. We just want really good quality consultants listed. We make our money when somebody gets engaged through us. So when a consultant, so I'll give you an example. A local company, Pro Service Hawaii, one of the larger companies here. So they had a question. I will not go into details of that. That's kind of confidential nature. But we have an Ask an Expert feature. So basically, when a company has has a critical problem, but it's kind of more nuanced, and they don't want to Google answers, and it's these jobs, the CEO job or a COO job, are lonely jobs. You don't want to go to your boss and ask a question that you are supposed to have an answer to, and you can't ask those questions to your subordinates. You can Google those, but there's so much junk on the internet in general. Or you can read blogs, but that will take forever. So
It's kind of like you can Google WebMD if you have a pain,
Exactly
or
right.
you go to a doctor. So this is you going to the actual doctor. And so then what happens next? An expert flies out here?
So no, not so
No?
fast.
Oh, okay.
So you can ask a question here, and you can give the context. You can ask a more nuanced kind of question, and then people with that background. So suppose you have a question on how to devise a stock option plan for your employees. Now that's a question that depends a lot on the context of the company as well. So you can ask that and give a little bit of context, and then people who have done that in their practice, they give answers. And somebody might come in from a leadership perspective, somebody might come in from financial management perspective. They give all these answers, and then if you're really trying to solve that problem, you will have an initial consultation with the expert who in your opinion gives like the best answer. And the initial consultation is also free, so we don't make any money off that either. But then to implement that, because it's a more complicated problem, you need the help of that expert. And then when you engage them and you start paying their fees, that's when we make a small percentage of their fees.
That's pretty reasonable. I've used staffing companies to pick up programmers in the past.
Sure.
So it would typically be like a percentage of their annual salary. Is that kind of how you go, or is it a flat rate, or?
It's a flat rate. It's a flat low rate. And in fact, people who joined as consultants before we launched, we give them an even lower rate as founding members on the website. So you're right. It's like Odesk or Elance, except in a different context.
Which have now merged.
That's correct. They just announced that. That's right.
and that tells you that's a $1 billion industry. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
And so I mean, what can and I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe some businesses would be afraid to jump on something like this if they were unsure of the cost. So how do you, I mean, obviously you get some expert advice, but when you go to a doctor, you kind of know what you're going to pay. Is it in the hundreds? Is it in the thousands? Is it, you mentioned it was a low set price. Is that same for everyone, or is it just for certain people? Or
So our fee is very low. But you're exactly right, is when businesses engage an expert, they want to know how much it's going to cost them, even if they are just ROI focused. And that's essentially why we have something like Mentors Guild. In the consulting industry, there are two big problems. One is you don't know who's good. You'll spend a lot of time asking around, and sometimes you'll have a friend of that consultant saying that they're really good, and then you have them for 3 months and nothing gets done, and you have $100,000 spent on that project. But even if you know somebody's really good, how much is it going to cost you? You don't know that. It's all a value sale process in consulting, and they try to figure out how much benefit you're going to get and then price accordingly. So we're going to solve that problem. We're trying to solve that problem by making it much more efficient and transparent. So all the members of Mentors Guild, no matter what their fees are expected to list their indicative price on the website.
oh, so their price is there. So when you say I want a specialist in marketing, this is what it's going to cost me. I can put that into the budget. I'm going to give it to Mentors Guild. You get a small percentage. Everyone wins.
That is correct. And then you can actually, if you need help with marketing strategy, you can search by that, and then you'll see 5 or 6 results, and you can look at their background and look at their fees and do a cost benefit kind of thing in your own head. And we are there, we have given our phone number to facilitate that. If you can tell a little bit more about your business, we'll say, okay, well, this is what we know about this expert, or maybe why don't you call 3 of them and then see which of these 3 fit your situation.
Who's got the more aloha spirit, right? There we go. Well,
Sure.
Iqbal, we're just about out of time, so we're gonna sign off. So those of you who are watching, the website is mentorsguild.com, MENTORS Guild, and Iqbal Ashraf is one of the founders of Mentors Guild, and we thank him for coming in the studio and sharing his vision for the world and how we can change the business landscape by sticking some of these experts onto that website. So we're going to be right back in a moment with Martin Dunsmuir. We're going to talk about all kinds of cool apps, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
We want to thank our underwriters.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions.
I'm Nicole Horry. Thanks so much for joining us on Think Tech.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
Fidel. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidel of Think Tech. We have some news for you. In addition to our Think Tech TV show and our Asia in Review show on Olelo 54, as of January 1st, we're adding Community Matters to play also 2 hours a week. Check out thinktechhawaii.com for the specific times of each of these shows. We hope you enjoy all 3. Mahalo, I'm Jay Fidel.
Aloha, I'm Maria Kashem of Think Tech Hawaii, and I want to tell you about our Think Tech talk shows. If you didn't know it, Think Tech streams video and audio for all of its shows live on the internet from 2 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon, and we replay them all night long on ustream.tv. Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links. Raise your awareness on Think Tech. I'm Maria Kashem, and I'll see you there.
We're back, we're live, and you're watching Next Big Thing. I'm your host, Attila Sures, and with us today in the studio is Martin Dunsmuir. Now, I'm not sure if you know this about Next Big Thing, but on this show we like to give people with great ideas a chance to share them with the world. And with us in the studio is Martin Dunsmuir, and he actually has 2 very cool apps. And so thanks for joining us in the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And we have to start with something that's really obvious, which is my T-shirt. And I wore this specially for you because I heard you had an accent, and I assumed you were from England. Did I have that right?
Yes, I am English. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You are. So you know all about Doctor Who, and
Well,
can you
yeah.
interpret the T-shirt? Control Alt Delete.
Yeah.
Yes, from the Cybermen.
Yeah, well, and this is obviously a Cyberman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
I
did not
much
get it.
prefer the dialect. No, they don't, and I can understand why, but let's leave that aside.
Have you seen the new Cybermen though?
No, I haven't been watching Doctor Who since about 1971, maybe.
Oh, you gotta see the
Right.
new series. It's fantastic. The new Cybermen aren't like slow Frankenstein-looking creatures. They move really fast now.
Well, the thing about Doctor Who was that the sets were so cheap. Like they would cough. And you'd see the mountain shake, you know, and it was the content of the program so much as the sets, you know, whereas Star Trek went with more kind of serious sets, you know, it kind of looked more real. The Dalek, remember the Daleks?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. They were made from egg boxes, I think,
yeah.
and golf balls, you know, but they were still scary, you know.
They have the noise, right? The sound.
Yeah. I remember seeing the very first Doctor Who. It shows how old I am. I think probably the very first one they introduced.
1990 what?
1960, 1963, I think it was. Yeah.
You know what's really cool though is that they recently made kind of like a documentary about the original Doctor Who series and how they came up with it. Like, so they made like a movie about the movie, kind of like Finding Mr. Banks. You know, where they made a movie about how Mary Poppins was formed.
Yeah, Shakespeare, I think, the play within the play.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. So now I know all about the first.
I remember there was once a exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, about 1980, I think, and it was a retrospective about Doctor Who, even then, right? And the title of the exhibition was Behind the Sofa, because all the little kids would hide behind the sofa when the scary things came on. So that was the name of it. But anyway, so Doctor Who is... I'm glad to see... You're a Doctor Who aficionado, I can tell.
Yeah, but you know, it's weird because we watched the show, me and my wife, for a couple of years, and then we learned it was a kid's show. And
Was it?
Yeah.
No, it was never a kid's show.
They said, we're scaring the kiddies, you know, British style.
Never
We're scaring
a
the kiddies.
It's kind of... It's one of those shows that's kind of a... It crosses the generation gap, you know?
It's genius, though. It's genius. They're like, yeah, we're just going to have this actor who can just regenerate when the ratings go down.
Yeah, the contract. I mean, he must have had a very bad contract. You know, we'll just cut you off and reinvent you. If you know, any trouble, you're gone, right?
Yeah. It's totally, because, you know, obviously in every other sci-fi series, we got to bring this new actor on. Now this one's like, no, it's the same guy. He just looks different.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And where does this take place? Anywhere in time and space.
Well, of course, the real thing we watched for was the assistants, Doctor Who's assistants, which
companions.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, companions even.
Well, they had the young Doctor, the Matt Smith guy, which they just killed off for I don't know why, but. You know, the Matt Smith guy, he really got the American audiences engaged. So Comic-Con was all the rave, right? Because he came to Comic-Con and everyone was all dressed up like Daleks. And
have you ever been to a Star Trek convention?
When I was younger,
went to a Star Trek convention. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah. So which one do you prefer? Doctor Who, Star Trek, or Star Wars?
Oh well.
It's tough because there's Trekkies and there's Star Wars fans.
Doctor Who is certainly not Star Wars, right? I mean, that has that whole kind of weird moral thing about it that I don't particularly like.
You don't like any morality in your science fiction?
No. But the attempt to get a message across is too hard. I mean, they try too hard. I think.
Oh, in Star Trek? Yeah.
Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
Well, Star Trek they do too, but Star Trek is cut up into little pieces. So the original Star Trek stuff I loved. You know, the Captain Kirk, but they had the Trouble with Tribbles. Remember that one? That always struck me as a little bit of a takeoff of Doctor Who. There was something. I see. About certain of the Star Trek, whereas Doctor Who never, certainly when I was watching it, Star Trek didn't exist. I mean, when did Star Trek start?
It was 60s.
No, it must have been 71 maybe.
No, 60s.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
okay.
They actually remastered it now, too, so it's kind of funny. You can see all the CG.
Because I think the original Star Trek were in black and white.
Black and
white. But only the first series or something like that.
Right. It was like the first year was black and white.
I mean, the series that I really like, which is changing the subject a little bit, is Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I used to
Really?
love that show. Yeah, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. These are, see, they never stood the test of time. They've gone. Mission Impossible, maybe they did a movie and stuff, but The Man from U.N.C.L.E. gone, disappeared. Nobody remembers it, but Doctor Who's still going, so it's got to have something.
Well, we're not going to get new episodes for another year, which is just, I can't believe they
Well,
did
there must
that.
be a fair number of old episodes you can watch just to keep the blood serum level up.
Well, they have some new doctor who's like, I don't know, they introduced him for like 30 seconds. In that first 30 seconds, he was like old and didn't know where he was and didn't know how to drive the TARDIS. So it's an old senile guy, and I hope he's good. He was in Harry Potter.
You mean he really is senile, or he was made out to be
He
senile?
was made out to be senile, which, as you know, in the Doctor Who world can be anything. But I just really hope that they don't lose the American audience because of that 1 year gap, right? Because he's doing what's his name? He's doing Sherlock Holmes, so he's directing a whole different series, and
Another BBC Sherlock
Yeah.
Holmes, yeah. Okay.
yeah, they're trying.
Sherlock Holmes is another one that stands the test of time. I was only watching it last week on Netflix, one of the really old Basil Rathbone ones, back from the 1930s or something,
Yeah,
Crazy.
I noticed that they're starting to bring in the drugs into some of the newer ones, because obviously in the original, he's like a heroin addict or
he's
something, right?
cocaine, I think, is
Cocaine.
I mean, Holmes was a big drug addict.
He's like the
It's,
modern Pineapple Express kind of.
Yeah.
Seth
But that's all
Rogen.
in the books, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you go back to the books, it's Holmes's rather strange habits.
So it makes it a character.
Yeah.
But I don't want to eat up all this time talking about stuff that you and I would rather be talking about after the show. This is your time to show off Toe Choice.
I thought you wanted to talk about Doctor Who. That's what I was told we were going to talk about.
Just for a minute. Just for a minute, but I want to give you your chance.
Let's talk about Toe. I mean, I do phone apps, do all sorts of apps. I've been in the software business for a very long time. And I started out, I was at Microsoft in the old days. Then I was at a company called Real Networks. You're familiar with Real Audio, Real Video. And I came here about 14 years ago, and struggling's the wrong word, but I want to stay in Hawaii. I don't want to go back to the mainland. And I had one business which I operate out of the mainland. And I was the CTO and the founder, and I used to commute. I mean, Hawaiian Airlines used to love me. They don't love me anymore because they don't fly as much, but they used to love me. But that didn't work because the energy level. I mean, I hate to say it, but whenever I used to go back to the mainland to my business, the energy level would go up, and then I'd leave, and the energy level would go down, right? And so I learned that lesson. I mean, the business was not a failure, but it wasn't a big success. It was my first sort of entrepreneurial thing. That was called Got Voice, which was to do with voicemail before Google Voice, a long time ago, about 2007 or something like that.
2007. So
Seems a long time
post
ago.
asterisk.
Well, we used Asterisk.
You used Asterisk?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm a whiz on the Asterisk stuff. But
Programming extensions files. There you go. Yeah.
well, so I mean, you can do the most wonderful thing. In fact, Asterisk has an element in this Toe Choice thing.
Great.
So I've been doing a variety of things. One of the things I did was a thing called Chachanga,
Okay.
which was a
Ask any question, right?
no.
Is that it?
It's a group video thing, and for example, people go to weddings, and they collect the photos and so on and so forth. But you very quickly realize it doesn't matter how good a job you do at this, the chances you're going to be successful are tiny. Because, I mean, for example, take photo apps. You go in the App Store, if you have an iPhone, go in the App Store, there are like 450,000 photo apps. Now, that's quite a few. 420,000 of those are actually fairly decent pieces of software, right? I mean, so the chances of you coming up with a new thing, which is a general purpose solution, and making it a great success is very, very difficult.
Plus, it's hard to hold on to because as quickly as they come to your app, quickly as they go to the next one, too.
Exactly. So a trend that I've seen in the last couple of years is away from the trying to do the soup to nuts solution of photography or whatever, which is like the Instagram or what have you, towards a more vertical kind of application. And there are two applications that I'm working on right now, which I think fit well into this mold. We've yet to see whether they're successful or not, but the hope is that they will be, of course. The first of those is Toe Choice, and I don't know whether the audience can see, but Toe Choice is an application.
Oh, here we go. We're gonna point this towards one of the cameras here.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I can see where the cameras are. Yeah.
Toe Choice. There we go.
Toe Choice.
Toe Choice.
Toe Choice is founded by a guy called Dave Kazuki. A local guy, good friend of mine.
Great guy,
I'm now the CTO of this company.
So he came up with a great idea and made you execute it.
That's exactly right. So I'm the guy. He just goes around with a wingtip shoes, looking like the businessman, and I'm slaving away in my basement, kind of thing. Well, I don't have a basement, but if I did, I would slave in it.
On the beach. Yeah.
Yes, I'm on the beach. I'm on the beach. In fact, I am on the beach. I live in Makaha.
There you go.
So Toe Choice, the idea is that, have you ever had your car break down?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I have one of my 3 cars currently broken down. My wife just called me.
Well,
right
I mean breaking down on the highway.
Yeah.
Do you have AAA? You have something like that, right?
I had like AAA and then.
Well, you're very lucky because half the people in this country do not have, and I'm one of them, do not have AAA. They do not have any sort of funky special deal with the insurance, whatever, right? When I break down, I'm into real money, and I've broken down twice. Once was on the Pali Highway. I got 2 flats. I went over a piece of metal, and once 2 tires are flat, you're kind of in trouble, right? And the other time was when my old truck broke down again on H1. But they wouldn't. What was I going to do, right? I mean, and the answer in both. Well, actually, in the occasion where I broke down on the Pali Highway, well, of course, I have an Audi, right? So I called my Audi dealer, and they said, "Oh, try these numbers." So I wrote down the numbers, and I called these people, and eventually some guy came out, and I got towed, and got my tires fixed. But what Toe Choice does is it makes it very easy for people to find tow drivers when they need them, and in particular. So what's the first thing you do when your car breaks down now? You search on Google, okay?
Oh yeah, I start screaming and cursing the people going by.
Once you pass that stage, there's the point where you get your phone out and you type in, "I need a tow," right? And hopefully Toe Choice comes up. It seems to come up, and we get people calling us, so it must come up sometimes, right? You click on that, and then you go through a process of describing what the problem is, where you are, and so forth. I don't want to do they never work demos, but just to show you the one page here. So,
all right, so once
imagine this is your phone.
Okay.
We've got a map showing where we are.
Okay, so you said, yes, I'm broken down.
Yeah,
and it says,
right.
We've pinpointed.
And then the next questions are, well, where are you? I'm on a military base. Is actually something very important here in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of tow drivers don't like to go on the military bases or whatever. And then there are questions, what's wrong, and so on and so forth. So you go through a series of questions like this, and then we have an automated system that sends out a request, we call it a help request, to tow drivers who have an application which this has to be a web application, which is the real key thing here, is that it cannot be an app you download. It's not like Uber or something like that, where I know I'm going to need a car every 3 weeks, so I'll download the app.
Yeah, no one wants to be sitting there downloading an app while they're broken down.
So the trick here is to make a website that looks and feels like an app. And one of the things I've been working on just this last few days is making this load as fast as possible. You want, when the guy clicks on the Google link, our web page has got to come up within a couple of seconds, right? And so, as far as they're concerned, it's an app, right? But there's no pre-downloading. So I probably have a great deal of difficulty persuading you to download an app, because in 5 years you're going to need a tow, I mean,
Right,
maybe
right.
I would, but you know, it's like
It's not a good
whatever.
fit.
Right? Okay.
But okay, let's hold that thought because I want to see this thing work because we got to go to a quick break. So
okay.
Martin Dunsmuir with us on Next Big Thing. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after
Okay.
this break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
We're back. We're live, and you're watching Think Tech. Our series is Next Big Thing. And of course, you can always tweet us live during the show. Think Tech HI is our Twitter handle. With us is Martin Dunsmuir. We're talking about Toe Choice and not Doctor Who. We moved past that.
Yeah, we moved past that. Yeah,
moved past that. And we were.
You want to talk more about Doctor Who? No, okay, right, fine, we'll leave
I
that.
would like to, but this is your spot, so I want to give you your fair time. So we walked through the hypothetical scenario of getting your tires busted. We brought up your Toe Choice website here, which loads up in seconds for a. Here we go. Let's align it there. All right, perfect. So it says, "I need a toe." Can I hit next on this?
Wouldn't do.
No.
This is not meant to be a demo. This is just an example.
Oh, just to show off how it
Yeah,
looks. But I would,
you can play. Go.
But I would hit next normally, and I would see,
I'm
need
qualifying
something.
the toe, so you know it's an accident, right?
No, they're going to say I hit.
So go back again.
Go back one here. We
And
go.
so say your car won't start.
I have.
Say you're locked out. Actually, say I'm locked out.
locked
Right.
out.
Now you go to next, and
Next.
it's a different set of questions. I lost my keys. The car. And
Keys are locked in the car. That's happened to me before.
Yeah, I know. It happened to me too. So what happens is this information, once it's been collected, gets sent to tow drivers who are on our network, and they get a request. And there's another app. In fact, I could show you if I can
Great.
just give you a moment here.
So they get an app that says "Bing Bing."
Yeah,
Person's broken down.
Exactly.
Stop circling neighborhoods trying to tow people.
Actually, it's on my phone. It's not on.
It's on your phone. All right.
It's not on here.
Well, we get the idea.
But at any rate, the tow driver gets a lot of tow drivers get a request, and they get to bid on the tow. So some guy says $100, 15 minutes, whatever. Another guy says I'll be there in 25 minutes. It'll be $180. You know, whatever and in the middle of the night, the prices can go up. Of course, right? Of course, you know. And we tell the tow driver how far the tow is, what kind of car it is, where the pickup is, etc., and other information, which is why we're asking these questions. Then the user, the motorist, gets bids in front of. They appear on the screen of the computer, his phone,
On their
right?
tablet, yeah.
And well, presumably they're not
phone,
using their iPad
yeah.
by the side of the road, right? Okay, I mean some people do, but generally speaking, you're using an Android phone or an iPhone, right? And then you just choose one of the things, and hey presto, you go through a process, and then the tow driver will call you very quickly and say, hey Mary, you know, I'm on my way. Is there anything else I should know? Blah 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 blah. And so what we've done is we've made it much easier for tow drivers to get business. Because one of the things that, I'm no tow driver, but as a tow driver, you know, I've got to have my connections that feed business to me. Somebody finds my number in the yellow pages, you know, et cetera, right? We streamline that process, and then from the user, on the motorist side, the word user, I mean, they're both users, right? But on the motorist side, we are putting them in touch with a much larger group of tow drivers than they might otherwise be able to. So it's a bit like Priceline.com or something like that.
Priceline for tow drivers.
Yeah, exactly what it is. Exactly what the thing. So that's what Tow Choice is, and Tow Choice has been in business for about a year. It's one of the Blue Startups companies. It was funded by Blue Startups initially. Before my time, I've only been there for about 3 months or so. But we're in the process of gearing up to expand greatly. At the moment, we only operate here and also in Portland, Oregon. And we've been really working very hard to get the whole process down in such a way that we know that we can suddenly, if we can make money in Portland, we can make money in Honolulu. We know how to get tow drivers in Honolulu. We know how to get tow drivers in Portland. Then we can, we can operate in Cincinnati or anything like that. But obviously that requires investment. So at a certain point, we're going to be looking for a much more serious investment than we have up to this point.
Well, how are you guys making money? Is it off of each tow?
You take a commission on the tow, and it's very simple. It's very simple math. You get calls and or dispatches, and you take a commission. So it's as simple as that. So you need to get a lot. You need to get, the more tows you get, the more money you make. Basically,
It's automated.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sitting there having to
Yeah, exactly.
type it in.
Exactly,
It's just a bunch of money came in today. Great.
I mean, there's some interesting questions. I mean, we've had both a. It seems. I'm going to talk positively here. It seems as if people in general are happy with the self-dispatch process. We were concerned that perhaps the lack of the human element would be an issue, but it appears that doesn't seem to be the case. So that's very, very good for us.
I buy stuff off Amazon.
Yeah,
I don't need to
exactly,
call up someone. Oh, do you have the Thomas train so and so?
I mean, one of the things that is that it can take a few minutes between sending out your request and getting your bids back, of course, right? If you are driving that process, you're much less likely to get impatient than if you are, you're on the phone waiting for someone to tell you, well, I'm waiting here, whatever. So in that sense, I think we're onto a really good thing. And my job at Tow Choice is to do the technology stuff. And there are all sorts of pieces. There's the web app, there's websites, there's back-end servers, and when you get to the asterisk part, there is.
What's that?
So we have a call center, right? Because a certain proportion of customers want to talk to somebody, or maybe the situation is so complicated they really need to. In that case, we use Asterisk, or we will shortly be using Asterisk, to do all the passing of information from for example,
IVR.
caller ID kind of stuff, deciding where to forward the call to. Asterisk has a lot of integration points, which are generally speaking unavailable in a more traditional phone setup. So that's good.
So it's kind of like a 911 dispatch. You get all the information beforehand. It can be sent over to a call center, either abroad or in the U.S., depending on the time zone. And then, so you just want to give a phone interface for it. Are people asking for that?
We don't know. They don't ask us for anything. They just use it. But a proportion there is a button that you can press to make a call, and about 20% of people do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because those are the people who want to talk to someone, and we charge them, or the pricing may be slightly different on that.
And they just kind of stay on the line while you get the bids from the.
Yeah. So we have a web-type dispatch interface, which can also be used, for example, by. There are some businesses that generate a lot of tows, like a car dealer, for example.
Oh, okay.
So we have a version of our. We haven't launched it yet, but we will have a version of our dispatching thing, which is a website which can be used, for example, by a car dealer to get tows. I thought that car dealers would have a whole bank of tow trucks behind the building kind of thing, but in general they don't. It seems they do.
They want to sell cars.
Yeah.
They want to sell cars, and
then the other important thing about this is that I think we can go far beyond tows. There are other. What's the right word to use?
Avenues, opportunities.
No, it's not an emergency, but it is an emergency. But I mean, it's not an emergency. It's a very timely need for a service. Another example would be non-emergency medical transport. I need to go to get my dialysis on Thursday morning, and I need a ride.
Oh,
right,
okay,
that kind of thing. And so the model in terms of the way that the thing is put together, is designed to be able to add services like that in a relatively straightforward way.
I'm excited. I want to see this thing work. And you know,
Well, when your car breaks down, you can try it.
I can try it.
Right.
I may have that opportunity today.
Okay. But no, really, you should try it. It will work. Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Martin. I really appreciate it. We didn't get a chance to talk about TourTalk, which is your other app. So maybe we can have you back on the show if you're willing.
That sounds great. That
we
would be
can
really
talk
good.
all about it because Toe Choice is awesome. And sorry we ate up all the time with Doctor Who, but that was important too.
Yeah, that was important too. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's
Thanks,
very good.
Martin.
Yeah, thank
Really
you.
appreciate
Okay.
it. And those of you who like the show, go ahead and like us on Facebook, Think Tech Hawaii. Just go ahead and search for us there. I'm your host, Attila. We're here with Martin Dunsmuir, and our show, which is Next Big Thing, is all about giving people with a great idea a chance to share it with the world. If you know someone with a great idea, go ahead and email our producer, Jay Fidel. His email address is that's Jay, at Fidel.com, Fidell. See you next week, and stay tuned for more Think Tech.